Chapter 12. Excuse me. The boys hear a raspy voice from behind them as they proceed down the sidewalk, just a few blocks away from the diner from which they had just parted ways. Both boys are startled and pause in their tracks. Stunned by the voice out of nowhere, they turn behind them to see two strange men in long coats stepping out of a black car and beginning briskly walking toward them. Are you, Tyler Cannon and, Jeremy Pearson? The older male asks, looking at a pad of paper in his left hand. He is rather short, balding in the front and center of his head, and his stubbly gray and brown beard makes it look as though he hasn't shaven in a few days. Reaching into his pocket on the inside of his jacket, with his free hand, he pulls out a black leather wallet. Upon doing so, he flashes a pistol strapped to his hip. Jeremy takes a step back, away from the men in the long coats, his eyes glued to the black steel shimmering in the sunlight. The man catches Jeremy's eyes locked on his pistol, and the fearful look across Jeremy's face. Putting his right hand containing the wallet up at the boys, he speaks up once again. "It's okay," he says as he flips the wallet open and reveals the shining badge within. Neither Jeremy nor Tyler can read the badge, so neither knows what it says. Not that either could tell if it were legitimate or not, if they could read it. This relaxes the boys anyhow, knowing that these men are police officers. You see, I'm a detective," he says as the man on the other side of the car makes his way around. This man doesn't seem all that much older than Jeremy and Tyler. He has longer blonde hair that waves from his long forehead to the back of his neck. His clean-shaven cheeks show off his handsome face. Jeremy cannot tell how, but this man seems quite nervous. After only a few seconds, as Jeremy watches him, he can tell that this man must be new at this. I'm Jeremy Pearson, and this is my friend Tyler." Jeremy answers back, pointing over at Tyler, who is making sure his face is clear of all traces of the tears that had been pouring down not too long ago. Jeremy is no longer fearful of the two men, but this does not, however, mean he is quite comfortable with them. With his history of run-ins with the police, a large amount of them have not been in a positive nature. This is especially true for the week or so after his father's passing, as he went on a rampage of self-destruction that kept his home number on the local police force's speed dial. "Hello, I'm Detective Burt," says the older man, taking a few steps toward the boys. He points back at the younger man, stepping up behind him. "This here is my partner, Detective Forrest." Detective Burt introduces the younger man. The two boys look at Detective Forrest, who remains silent but gives a small, quick wave of his hand and nod of his head. This knocks a few strands of hair out of place, which he quickly slides his hand across to fix it. While putting his badge and pad of paper back into his coat pockets, Detective Burt informs the boys that they are wanted for questioning, and that they need to go with he and his partner to the local police department. All of them walk over to the unmarked black police car, where each of the officers lets one of the boys into the rear seats. Forrest goes for his cuffs to place around Tyler's wrists before Burt stops him and shakes his head in disappointment. "Are you serious?" he asks his partner. "They aren't under arrest," he continues as he closes the door behind Jeremy, who has gotten in the rear seat on the passenger side. Tyler climbs in the driver's side, followed by the two officers taking their seats in the front of the car. "Sorry," Burt says, looking back at the boys. "He's a new detective," he continues, "but he seems to be making mistakes like he was fresh from the academy." He states, directed more toward his partner than the boys in the rear section of the car. Forrest turns on the engine, throws the car in drive, and off down the road they go. "Is this all because we skipped school today?" Jeremy asks once they are all in the car. The two officers look at each other for a few seconds, but don't answer his question. "Because we were just getting something to eat." He looks over at Tyler. "I was trying to help him through something. Jeremy says with quite a nervous voice, being very uncomfortable in the back of another police car. More so than he had originally expected he would be, with this not being his first time here. No, kid, this has nothing to do with that, Detective Forrest tells him. He and Detective Burt both take a deep breath and Forrest continues. This is, much more serious. It's about the murders. He continues before getting a frown and head shake from his partner. Burt runs his palms down his own face before turning to Forrest again. Really? He asks, showing such powerful disappointment. Murders? Jeremy asks, emphasizing the pluralizing part of the word. He looks over at Tyler, whose eyes are locked wide open on the headrest of the seat in front of him. His body trembles as he shakes his head slowly back and forth and rocks in his seat. Jeremy can tell that, though he himself is not in a good place, Tyler looks like he is seconds away from completely breaking. Yes, son. There's been another murder, Burt answers. You will get the full story when we get you to HQ. Until then, just sit tight. Jeremy's mind starts racing. Who could it be? Do I know them? Is Aaron alright? He continues as they make the long trip to the precinct in the next town over. The drive takes quite some time, as his town being so small, they share a police force with the neighboring communities. Staring out the window, Jeremy watches as the scenery changes from the familiar of his town to the somewhat familiar areas of the town's edge, and finally out to the unfamiliar of the neighboring community. Not a word is said by any of them during the trip. Tyler was too fearful to speak. Forrest didn't want to make another mistake. Burt was just staring out his window, and Jeremy was too deep in his own mind for his mouth to function enough to spit out any sound. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying the story and how it's going, please subscribe so you can get every chapter as it comes through. Discuss in the comments, plot threads, and where you think the story's going. Share with anybody you think might find it interesting. Until then, I'll see you next video.